Modern animism makes the oldest spiritual belief easy for today's seekers to understand, practice, and live. Stay tuned and grow with us. Did you guys see the monks as they crossed the southern United States on their 2,300-mile journey from Texas to Washington, D.C.? I did, and it was very moving. I was really delighted by how many people came out to see them, and it makes me hopeful that so many of us are yearning for peace. As a natural consequence, of course, there's a lot of conversations about what this looks like, and I think there could be many answers to this that work just fine. But I'm disturbed by some of the things that I've been hearing about, and I'd like to share them with you to get your feedback on what I'm missing. I think it's important to have a shared vision of what society looks like because we're the ones creating it. I don't think we have to agree on everything, but I do think that we have to agree on a framework, or else there's nothing holding it all together. So there's a version of animism circulating right now that insists everything is safe, soothing, and affirming. It promises connection without risk, meaning without cost, and spirituality without friction. And I get it. In a harsh world, we want to have solace in our spirituality. And today I want to talk about why that version doesn't align with an animist worldview, at least not mine. And what gets lost when we mistake gentleness for depth. So love and light animism filters the world through how it makes us feel. And I'm sure that you have seen social media posts or even whole channels built around slogans and posts like, "Nature's so calming, exactly what my nervous system needed," or "I go into the forest to raise my vibration," or even "The earth wants us to feel peace." Nice sentiments, right? What's wrong with that? The first thing is that animism is not about emotional regulation. Yes, forest bathing and earthing are real things, and they do help you to feel more calm and more centered and balanced. They absolutely are ways to regulate your nervous system, but doing these things doesn't make you an animist. It makes you responsive to nature. The land doesn't exist to comfort you. It doesn't because we're always co-regulating. Nature's typically chill. And when we are in a chill space or with a chill person, we become chill too, if that's the dominant energy. But it's more than that. When we are forest bathing, the trees are emitting chemicals that help to boost immunity and calm the nervous system. The earth has an energy frequency, the Schumann resonance. And if we're barefoot or laying on the ground, it has the same effect. We feel more grounded, healthy, and regulated. So it may seem like we're here to use nature to help us. But peace is not the default state of life, and nature doesn't serve us. Generally speaking, I'm a live and let live kind of gal. Do you? Practice whatever makes you feel whole. But if you're going to call it animism, it should reflect animism. If it doesn't, it distorts meaning until it doesn't mean anything. Animism really has nothing to do with feeling good or being comforted. I hope that this spiritual path does bring you comfort and makes you feel good, but that's not what it's for. That type of thinking puts you at the center of the universe, and in animism, you're not. You're an equal part of the whole. Whole means all of it: joy, pain, love, terror, work, play, everything. So if you're thinking of animism through a love and light type of lens, it might change if you ask, what is this place expressing, regardless of how I feel? Does that make you feel more a part of it rather than that the place is being in service to you? How might it be different if you stayed with the land when it was noisy, indifferent, or uncomfortable? I once went to Stonehenge and there were tourists all over the place. I wanted to hurry up and get on out of there because honestly, it was just way too much, way overstimulated. But I stayed and I lingered because I'm at Stonehenge. When do you get to be at Stonehenge? And I wasn't expecting to be able to connect to it at all because there were so many people and so many distractions. But that was the visit that was the most memorable. I had a really amazing connection to the land, maybe because I was present and all those other people weren't. I don't know, but the land was available and we showed up for each other. We connected. I had no expectation, and sometimes disruption is part of the relationship. Sometimes that is what's needed to open the door to something else. So I guess what I'm saying is that the relationship with you and all that is has to be true. It has to be what it is. And it's not always love and light. Love without truth turns the world into a service with you as a consumer, and the world doesn't give on demand. And animism is a relational path, not a transactional one. Similar but different. Examples that I'm seeing online are posts like all spirits operate in love, or fear is just unhealed energy, or if something scares you, it's not aligned. I get this. Now, I've even said some of these things at different times in my life. What I would ask you to consider with these is, are you saying that everything is good, gentle, safe, and benevolent? If so, that could be invalidating someone's experience. Predators are real. They do real damage. And while they may be caused by misalignment, they're still dangerous. Context matters, timing matters. Animism acknowledges the balance of the yin and the yang. So, death, decay, and I'd even say violence is necessary at times. Since this is true, some beings require distance, not intimacy. Everything has a season, everything has a purpose. If you think of your lifetime, I bet you can remember times when you weren't the most fun to be around. It's wise for people to leave you alone so you could figure it out. If someone is strong, wise, and well boundaried, maybe that person can help you out. But the rest of us are probably wiser to stay away so that we don't get hurt. This is about boundaries. Just because bears are natural doesn't mean we should approach one and snuggle up to it. It's wild and dangerous. It has its own nature, and we have ours. We do what we're programmed to do, and a wild animal could hurt you. A traumatized person could harm you. It's okay to practice caution and fear. Those are natural impulses that are designed to keep you safe. Fear is an intelligence, not a failure. So the animist world to me is very much it is what it is type of place. So context matters a lot. If I say nice things about someone who hurt me because I don't want to feel bound to that and I don't want to hold on to it, that might be great, but only if that's truly how I feel. I mean, like bone deep. If I haven't done the work to get there, my mind's ahead of my body and I'm not congruent. In other words, it's not true. For me, animism is about truth, not platitudes or love and light. If something is true, it's real. If it's not true, it's not real. And there's lots of room for people to have different perspectives because the animist world is dynamic. It's alive, not sanitized. There's no promise of heaven at the end. It just is what it is. All right. Another thing that I see is people saying things like, I called from my ancestors for protection, or I asked my guides for clarity and got an answer, or thank you, universe, for showing up. Again, I've done some of these things too from time to time, but be careful on this. I'm not saying that these things don't happen, but if this is why you're here, you're probably going to be disillusioned after a while because I always say animism isn't about there being some sacred Santa Claus who gives you what you want. Getting what you want isn't what life's about. Think about it. Haven't you ever called upon your helpers and they didn't come? Does that mean they didn't love you? Or that you didn't deserve their help? Or that they aren't real? Or that they were ignoring you? To my mind, it just means that they're not at your beck and call. Guidance isn't guaranteed, and silence is part of the communication sometimes. You might see it as tough love or being let down, but if our parents did everything for us, we'd never grow into our own strength. Sometimes the wisest thing is for those who are helping us to let us struggle and figure things out on our own. Sometimes that's the only way forward. I can't fall in love for you. I can't heal a broken heart for you. Those experiences are yours and yours alone. It's part of life. We come here alone. We leave here alone. And there are lots of other things that we must do alone. Don't get discouraged if your helpers aren't on tap for every moment of weakness. And don't reach out only when you need something. This is like a relationship with your child, your lover, or your dog. They need time and attention when you're not in need. They need contact when it's not all about you. Offer them food, memories, a song, care, and your time. If you don't get what you want from the relationship, love them anyway. Love isn't about always getting what you want, being happy, and being agreeable. No relationship is like that. Peace isn't perfection. It doesn't exist. As I said before, animism isn't about you. If there's no reciprocity, it's not healthy, balanced, or animism. Another thing that I'd like to highlight in creating our collective path of peace is when people use universal or global things to replace local or specific things. For example, if I say, I'm using Palo Santo to clean my space, or I'm working with moon energy wherever I am, or even these crystals carry ancient wisdom, I'm generalizing when perhaps I should be speaking specifically. So recently, I was telling someone about my girlfriends and I shopping in this natural jewelry store. We came upon this big honking turquoise and I picked it up, and this thing was radiating out a room. It was intense. I could feel its energy in my bones, and I've never felt a turquoise or any crystal that felt like that one. So if I were to say that turquoise has such powers based upon that one encounter, would that be true? I don't think so. I might read a book that beech trees have the energy of compassion that breaks through cynicism, intolerance, and seriousness. Does that mean that you can just go up to any beech tree and expect to receive that? No. Animism is place specific. It is thing or person specific. Everything belongs to an ecosystem, not trends. Relationships are cultivated and earned, not imported or purchased. Just as you are an individual, so is everything else. So while beech trees and turquoise as a whole may embody a certain type of energy, not all of them do. And not all of them are willing to share themselves with you right away. So imagine if you were on a property in the South where an oak tree was used to tie dogs or slaves to it, and so they could be punished. The dogs and slaves were treated cruelly. Oaks have a reputation for strength and stamina, flexibility and courage. But do you think that given this history, maybe that had an impact on whether this particular oak is open and ready to share that with you? By the same token, I don't think it's fair to say that just because some dark history happened in a place that the place is not open, loving, or giving. I've seen plenty of graveyards that felt pretty lovely, even though parts of them were really dark. And, there's one that I can think of right where I live. It's got some dark history. It's a fantastic place. Life's not black and white. Beings are complicated. Details matter. History matters. Having a sense of the local history, geography, and culture matters. So if you want to further the work of the monks and create peace, start locally. Work with what grows where you live. Start with yourself. Learn about the seasons, weather, soil, culture, history. Let the place where you reside impact and dance with your expressions. Don't try to work them into your beliefs and practices. It won't work that way. Why? Because everything is context. I really want to encourage you to listen to long-form content when learning about animism. Read a book. Listen to a long podcast, not just a short. The details matter. Specificity matters. Context matters. How one element impacts another matters. Once you start to see the symbols and metaphors that live in everything, you won't have to think about it anymore. But to start out with, look for them. I did a video about animism on Forrest Gump. Obviously, that's not an animist movie at all, but it is because animism's in everything. And if you can see the nature and balance in everything, you'll be able to embrace the essence of animism. And to me, it's really all about releasing all the things that don't belong so energy can flow naturally and in a balanced way. When you do that, you're in balance and everything's healthy. If you don't have an understanding of the energy of things, why they are the way they are, and how things intersect and are interdependent, then you may be engaging in connection without cost. And everything has a cost. So you don't think of it in consumerism terms. Let me restate that to say that everything demands reciprocity. If you hear someone say, just honor what feels good, or no rules, just an intuition, or even nature asks for nothing but love, then that's an example of what I'm talking about. It's a free all you can eat buffet, and that's not going to create peace or sustainability. And you have to have both if peace is to last. It's like, I think I did I think it was on this podcast. I did a podcast about visiting a commune, and the people there had no relationship, no sustainability. And the place went from being a thriving community to, I don't even know the word for it, but someplace that you wouldn't want to be. Not good vibes, trashy. It looks not great and feels not great. So the fire element is power balanced by responsibility. And I say that in most episodes because it's so important. If you want to know what unchecked power looks like, just look at any dictator throughout history: Pol Pot, Castro, Mao Zedong, Hitler, or any pharaoh. Every relationship creates responsibility. Taking requires giving. Belonging requires giving. Every society has rules. I have to give up some of my freedom to belong. I can't just do whatever I want. I have to conform to some degree. And yet, if society is too restrictive and I give up myself, then I have given too much, and this is unhealthy, maybe even toxic. So I'm always talking about balance, balancing the yin and the yang so that neither dominates, and the love and light, everything goes type of thinking doesn't get us there because it doesn't give anything. There are no boundaries and no responsibility. There's no deep thinking. It is just about me, what I can get away with and what I can gain without giving. At least that's how it seems to me. So if you want a relationship with peace, you might start by asking something like, what does this relationship require of me? If you can give restraint, healthy boundaries, thoughtfulness, mindfulness, tending, and presence, you'll probably gain something worthwhile. I'd also suggest staying, even though parts of it feels inconvenient or painful, not because you're engaging in self-abuse, but because if a relationship asks nothing of you, and if you give it nothing, is it even a relationship? In Gone with the Wind, Rhett gave Scarlett everything. He kept her safe, anticipated her needs, hung around waiting to be needed, and tolerated her worst moods and behaviors only to walk away in the end because she never gave him anything in return. There wasn't anything to really walk away from because the relationship had no substance ever. A spiritual path that is all about you getting what you want and everything acting in service to you is the same thing. Animism never loses sight of the community. You are part of a community. It's not about you and what you want. None of it. You can say my truth is my truth, but that doesn't mean that the rest of us shares that truth or can even acknowledge it. You might say, if it resonates, it's real, and that's great. But if it doesn't resonate for the rest of us, then the collective may not embrace it. If you say, I trust my intuition above all else, again, that's your prerogative. And this is one of those times when we may have to sacrifice what's good for me for the good of all, or for you to go your own way. I'm all for self-empowerment and listening to your gut, 100%. But when the outcome of that impacts others, you can't be the final authority. Everyone has an equal say in matters that impact them. When I talked about Princess Mononoke, that's what the whole thing's about: consequences. The land corrects us all. The gods demand balance. Time reveals what feelings cannot. And patterns matter more than moments or intuition. The wheel of life, for example, cannot be violated. It is what it is throughout time. It always will be. So I guess what I'm saying is that I think a lot of us are infected with the desire for peace. Thank God. Many of us are working towards that. And if this is to be a lasting peace that serves us all, we have to approach it with maturity, intelligence, and lead with the heart. Our ideas have to be ones that honor our local place, each other, and our history, so that there's a shared culture and desire to belong together. Peace for some isn't peace. It's just a changing of the old guard. It's replacing one type of tyranny and threat for another. This makes you feel uncomfortable? Go back and watch the Princess Mononoke movie and then listen to those 2 podcasts again. Learn how to let the world disagree with you. Not because we're trying to figure out who's right and who's wrong, but because we're all right and wrong sometimes. It's the nature of yin and yang, and wisdom is figuring out which time it is. And also learn to accept when you're wrong. If you're never wrong, I would say that's probably because you're not growing. You're not seeing things clearly, and you're not mentally flexible. Being wrong is a part of life. It's necessary for growth, so welcome it. It means that you hit a wall of your current knowledge and you're about to level up. So that's a good thing. So being wrong means you're being open to new ideas too. And using self-inquiry to examine your beliefs. I don't know a more worthwhile way to spend your time. Animism requires participation in life, and this is part of it. You can also watch for what repeats. Everything has a pattern, everything. If you don't see it, zoom out some more. Study the sacred wheel. There are lots of smooth talkers out there today that play on your vulnerabilities. They're dazzling and can make you feel really good. But are they speaking the truth? Maybe they are, maybe they aren't. But if you learn to see the signs, You won't need them to know what time it is or what's real. You'll see it for yourself. If you didn't see the monks and weren't inspired by their walk, I hope that you're still interested in peace on earth for all beings and that you will do your part to bring that about. It's not one person's burden. It can't happen that way. There's no savior coming to rescue us. If it's going to happen, it's because we all come together to create it. And doing that means that there's going to be tension. Disruption always precedes harmony, so don't freak out. Don't lapse into emotional thinking. Be accountable. Be responsible. Be true to your values while keeping the big picture in mind. And if you are creating a piece for some that leaves others out, I check to see if that's ecologically sound. We're making this happen where I live. So on Valentine's Day, I invited the community to come out and do our own walk for peace. 11 people actually showed up, although many more RSVP'd, and it was the right people. They were all dedicated to creating peace in themselves and sharing through their own lived experience. They want community and for each person to be the spark of light that carries it into their own personal world. I love that. I think we can all do that for each other. And peace won't happen from the top down, but from the bottom up. It's not something that's given to us or sprinkled down upon us. It's something we choose. So if you are in Richmond, Virginia area and want to join us for the next Walk of Peace, check out walkforpeacerva.com for the next date and show up. And if you want to do this where you live, what's stopping you? If you have a different project that promotes peace, what are you doing about it? I'm super excited about the long-term impact of the Monks Walk for Peace, and I'm really enthusiastic about being an active part of that change, and I'm hopeful for the future of mankind. And it won't happen without you. So thanks for being here. Thanks for your contribution, and I'll see you next time at Pan Society. Ciao.